Hi everyone, Pete and Grada here from the Purple House in Forth, Tasmania.
Hello there.
And tonight we just want to be with you and not really talk about health or well-being. We just want to be with everyone in our community who is absolutely shattered from the tragedy that happened at the Hillcrest Primary School last week, where where there was this horrible tragedy that unfolded and little children fell to their death. So Pete and I want to be here for you and just share a little bit how we have been moving through our day. I can't even say how we're coping with it, because I don't even like the word coping, because when you cope with your feelings or your emotions, that's not per se being true for what's going on the inside. So we just want to share some things, and then I'm going to show you how you can achieve a little bit of a breakthrough through your pain or whatever you're feeling. Get clarity on what you're feeling, be true to yourself, and don't fall into the trap of pushing your emotions or your sensations away for later, because if you do that, it's going to bite you in the bum big way, and it can even make you feel sick and disconnect. And when there is a really big loss like this, it often creates massive disconnect, and quite often couples like who've lost a child, they often don't survive. The marriage often doesn't survive either. That's what research shows. So Pete and I, we've learned many ways how to heal yourself and transform your pain and come back to a centered place.
The Western world often looks for a Panadol for pain, or something to dull the pain. And we feel we won't be able to cope with the pain, we'll drown in it.
If it's sadness, sadness is an emotion that's really hard to experience in your body. We often do feel like, oh, if I go there, I'm going to drown in it, I'll never come back. So there's a lot of fear around sadness too. So the 5 big emotions that we tend to avoid in life are anger, sadness, fear, guilt and shame. So in a minute I'll do a little demonstration with Pete to and hopefully he's going to cooperate, just to connect in with him what's happening, how he's feeling right at this very moment. When you work with yourself or your loved ones, you always work within the moment, what's happening for you right now in this moment, not what happened last week or what's going to happen tomorrow. Like, the moment of transformation is now. But before we do that, I just want to remind you that people, when they come to us, they often have questions like questions that can't be answered, and these are questions that actually cause more pain. So like, people often say things like, why did this have to happen to me? Why did it have to happen to my child? Or why do children...
Yeah. Why me? Why? It's always why.
Why me? Or why do children have to die so young? Or so on. And we're looking for a rational answer, or maybe, somewhere to put the blame, so that we feel a relief of suffering, or relief full stop. But actually, it's never going to... There's no answer to those questions.
Rational... Yeah, if you get a rational answer, it'll just be something that you can project your anger onto. Or
a scapegoat. Yeah. So for instance, in this case, the police, the forensic department will be looking for somewhere to place the blame. And this is how we've been trained to believe that the universe operates like this. Well, it actually doesn't, right? The universe, disasters happen, like incredible tragedies happen to some families. There is no rhyme or reason to it. It's just the universe, the realm that we live in has a 3-dimensional realm, and the pain is in our body because we can't see the invisible world. We literally can only see 1/1000th of reality, so that's not a good thing to remember. And the second thing that is really good to remember is that you just continually ask yourself, why is this happening for me? for me, not to me. This is happening for me. This is happening for my family. This is happening for my community. This is happening for the world. The same goes with the whole pandemic. All that's happening all around us, it's also happening for us.
And it's often, that is a hard thing to find the answer to too, but
yeah, so
quite often you will find answers a long way down the track.
That's right, and it's going to help you in the moment too. So Peter and I, we were also going to talk about our own experiences, because it's nearly, getting close to the 6th of January.
We're all always reminded of that time. Sometimes Greta starts feeling things around this time, and I say, well, you know what time of year it is. It's towards the time when she was severely banged up. I think all our family, the kids and myself, we all remember it, how devastating it was, but Greta survived. But
yeah,
when we heard about this accident, we just felt sick.
About the kids.
Yeah, about the children. We felt sick in our stomach.
Yeah, and some of those children died from similar injuries that I had at the time, which was also like internal bleeding, pelvic, smashed pelvis and a smashed liver and internal bleeding. And I was also taken to the Mercy Hospital, to the same hospital. And so even though it's already nearly 15 years ago, it happened on the 6th of January, and I got hit by a passing truck, which crashed into the tray, banged into my back, and basically exploded my structure. And I really should have died. There is really no logical explanation how I could have survived the accident. And this is the thing. Some people choke on a banana and they die, or trip over and they die, and other people can survive being hit by a truck. So lucky for me, I was already a healer, and I never felt like asking myself, why did this happen to me? Because I knew deep down that if I asked myself that question, I would die, because I would just waste energy. That's just precious energy that I didn't have to waste. And so I immediately just connected with the question, this is happening for me. And so I started to see some benefits. Now, I'm good at seeing benefits. That's just one of my fortes, isn't it, Pete? I can see benefit in any situation. Having said that, this the other side of the coin is that I'm sometimes not really honest with myself. That can also be like an avoidance tactic. So I want to talk about that before I do share what I normally do with my clients, and I'm going to use Peter and break all the rules and coach my own husband. So, but I just want to say this, like I thought, I'm the queen of deciphering my own emotions. It's easy for me to see and to feel what other people are feeling, and I can interpret where the people are stuck, or where my clients, what's going on for them, and I can help them dissolve and transform those emotions. But after last week, I realized that I actually really don't connect to sorrow very well at all, because I always redirect my sorrow into anger. And so anger,
sadness,
sorrow and sadness, like sorrow is deep sadness, right? I can be sad quite easily, but like the real sorrow and the real heartbreak, to me that flips into anger, and then I get really busy. So I was cleaning the shed a little bit with Pete, and then I dropped 10 wooden chopping boards on my toes from Caleb's fermenting class, and like now I'm walking around with really bruised toes, but I knew straight away the universe, and I also know the universe is my friend. It's everyone's friend. Another word for the universe is life, or source, or God, whatever you like to call it. It was trying to get me to be honest with me.
Connect with the pain.
That's right. The universe was saying to me, stop being so busy, stop being so angry, stop, moving mountains, and just go crawl into a little hole somewhere, or go under the duna and connect with your sorrow. But I wasn't doing that, I was resisting it. And so then the universe had to literally hurt me pretty much all day long, like I kept hurting myself. And so I realized then, well, actually, see, I have hidden layers in my own self, and I've written a little blog on it that you can read in a minute, how I worked through that. So it's hard for everyone, by the way, for the best of us, you know, like I make my bread and butter is to help people through their blocked emotions. And then when it comes to something like this, I was surprised how much trouble I had just giving in to that. Like I wanted to howl, I wanted to be mama animal, or, you know, stand on the top of the mountain and scream my pain out. That's really what I should have done. So, so it's all about knowing what's going on what the sensations in your body are actually telling you. And so I'll just give you a little bit of a shortcut now. If you always get tummy aches or have pain in your lower part of your body, it's often to do with fear. So you're not feeling the fear, but your body has to express it for you. And if it's in your chest area, like your heart and your chest and breast area, it's often to do with sadness that you're not tuning into. And if it's anger, then you often get like pain in the neck, sore hands, sore arms, stiffness in here, the TMJ,
tight shoulders,
all that, like rigidity. That is to do with like you're not connecting with your anger, right? So these are just some little clues. Alrighty, so I'm just, if that's okay, I thought we'll do real honest. Little bit, we're just going to unpack a little bit of sadness, not the whole mountain that Peter is feeling in his body right now. And before we do that, I also want to say that Peter and I, we both actually had a date with death, like at different times. When Peter was 19 and he had a near drowning accident in the Forth River.
And lost my best mate then at the same time. Lost my best mate then at the same time.
Yeah. So Peter, that was a huge heartbreak. He was only 19. But just share with us what it felt like when you were dying.
Well, everything just faded out into a nice, soft, I could see people on the bank of the Forth River running up and down, but everything just faded into a blissful peace.
That's right, and then you lost consciousness.
I lost consciousness. I nearly froze. But I thought to myself, after I came to in the hospital, or probably years later, that would be death isn't such a bad thing to experience. It was a blissful.
Well, the transformation when you leave your body, and I had the same thing. So I had a real horrendous way to leave my body, but I did actually also leave my body and had a near-death experience. Peter and I just want to share it with you. So when I had my near-death experience, it was the same. Everything felt just beautiful. Everything felt that I knew from the depths of my being that anything that happens in the universe, it's all planned. It's all going to a perfect order and a perfect plan. And I felt fully supported and not fearful at all. In fact, I didn't have any fear in my body.
There wasn't any fear.
I just felt like totally connected to the essence of love and totally nurtured and welcome and taken care of and supported. And at peace as well. So we both had that experience, because sometimes people come to us and they think their loved one who's passed over, especially when it's a little child, they have this mental belief that the child is lost or the child is looking for them, and it's just torture, right? And that's not the case, because as soon as you die, you go home. There is like, you literally get a hero's welcome, like all your loved ones who've passed over already are there to welcome you with open arms. So that's not the hard part. The hard part is surviving and then learning to find happiness again and fulfillment in your life after the tragedy. So there's always the accident, and then we say there's the accident after the accident.
And quite often when we're doing treatments with people, we find emotions that have been suppressed in the past, and quite often when the emotion of ignored comes up, there's been a death in the family, and it's often the one who has died is feeling ignored
Yeah, because we stopped that relationship, but the relationship is ongoing, right?
So the person has just gone into another realm, another dimension, just parallel, and we can only see a very narrow range of
material world.
Yeah, the material world.
Mm-hmm. Actually, they're developing cameras and so on now where they can sometimes capture the spirit of a loved one or an animal, you know, like after. So I think it won't be long, for many reasons, that that illusion of separation literally won't be so powerful anymore, because even the veil, like we feel now, our loved ones who've passed over behind a sort of a veil, which is a curtain, even that is getting thinner for everyone, not just for people like Pete and me, for everyone. And then of course technology is also developing, so a different lens, like your iPhone can already see more than we can. So anyway, Peter, you're ready to do a little bit of a mini breakthrough. So I'm just going to do that because I want to share with you how easy it is. So first of all, the first question is, Peter, when you think about the tragedy and the loss of the children last week, where does it feel? What do you feel in your body? Or what do you feel?
I feel a tightness sensation just in the upper part of my chest at the moment, the base of my neck. So actually I should say, what do you feel now? So that's right, thanks Pete, so he's feeling it there. So now I can ask exploring questions, because we use our 5 senses all day long, so we're preoccupied with the outside world. We're going to use our 5 senses to explore the inner world. So Pete, if you were to know, is that sensation, is it more hollow or is it more solid? Solid.
Is it moving or is it still?
Still.
And is it like, would you say big or small?
Oh, it's the size of a football.
Okay, so is it round or is it square?
Fairly round.
Mm-hmm. If it had a colour, what colour would you give it?
It's a light grey.
Okay. And if you were to touch the surface with your hands, what would it feel like on your fingers when they touch it?
Kind of like a hard rubber.
Okay. If it had a smell, what would it smell like?
Just a damp smell.
If it had a taste, like if you could put a bit in your mouth, what would it taste like?
Bitter.
Okay. And if it had a sound, what would it sound like, if you were to know? Or you can give it a sound.
Oh, it's fairly... It'd be just a dull sound, just a dull hum, if anything.
Okay, good. Good, so what else have I... So sound, smell, what else? I think I covered everything, didn't I? So,
moving or still.
You're moving or still, you said it was still. Yeah. So like, I want you now to imagine that it gets bigger. Just welcome it into your body. So welcome it in, really bring yourself really, really close to it if you can. You can also imagine using each breath to make it bigger. And just welcome that whole object in, like an old friend that's been there, like a homeless stranger. And use your breath to make it bigger and bigger. Everything is welcome. Embrace it in. And if it's easy, you can even imagine that it's like a balloon, and each breath makes it bigger. You're feeding air into it. And then when it reaches a point, it will just pop. Let me know when that happens. So like, I don't have to see Peter, but I can see with my own intuitive eye what's happening for him inside his body.
Dissipating.
Right. And so just stay with it. And so now in your neck area and all that, the blockage is gone. So there's empty space now. And we know that sometimes if we have emptiness in our body, it will attract the same energy that was there before, and we want to attract something else. So what is something that you want to attract into your life instead of sadness?
Some joy and peace.
Okay. So what color would it represent? If you have the color of joy, what would that be? Just choose a color.
Yellow.
Okay. So I'm going to invite you to breathe into your body, into your neck area, that whole area that was filled with like that sticky sadness. And just breathe in the color yellow now. The lightness of the yellow, maybe the sun. Yellow is for playfulness, curiosity, and even little children, they learn and play better with the color yellow. And you can just be curious even about life, about the whole journey of life, the highs and the lows, in a playful way, like not wanting to know the answer, but just be curious, right? Why is this happening for me? So how's that feeling now? And I remember, yes, thank you for cooperating. Does it feel a bit lighter?
Yeah, it feels lighter. Yep.
So I forgot a vital step, but it's not really that important. But I could have asked Pete, for the benefit of all of us, how intense that feeling was, like of sadness and sorrow, before we did it, and what it's like now. But I'm sure you were all tuning in and feeling the difference in Peter. And so like every experience that we go through, like whether, you know, or every experience is like a cycle, like it has a beginning and an ending. And I was also thinking of this tragedy is creating huge trauma in our, not just in our close community, like some of my children worked with these children, some of my children and my sons-in-law worked with these kids that died and so on. Right, so I mean, it tears the fabric of the community, and it's the start of a new cycle, right? And that cycle will take many, many years to find some sort of completion. I guess it will have to be a spiral where we all spiral upwards, right? That's really why it's happening for me. We're all spiraling upwards and onwards and growing and evolving.
We often keep the story going in our head, whereas if we go into the feeling, that'll get us out of our head as well. Yep.
And the lesson is there. There's often a lesson there. So like the answers are in our body already. Nobody else can tell us what our answers are meant to be, but your higher self can, right? And so I want to know for people people who've lost loved ones, even if it's a child or a baby, we're timeless beings. So when your child dies, we're all ageless, right? Suddenly it's not a child anymore, and that spirit is with you even closer than ever before, right? So like sometimes people die, or animals die, or pets die, because they can be close to us all the time in ways that they couldn't be while they were alive. This goes for everyone, you know. Sometimes I've helped clients and their partners committed suicide, and then this is just one example, and I know the partner is in the room, and now the partner can be with his loved one in a better way, like show up in a way that has his or her back much better than during lifetime. So there's so many aspects at play, and deep down we really have the capacity to feel all of it. So it's really about being kind with yourself, gentle with yourself, doing your grief work and feeling your sorrow is not a negative thing. So people will often say, oh, don't lower the vibration, right? Because we have to stay positive all the time. That in itself is toxic, right? Being true to yourself and being who you are, like showing up for yourself as you are, is freeing, and it releases the energy, and that straight away raises the frequency.
And we can always look out for little signs that those people are still around us. Like, for example, Greta's mum, her bird was the grey thrush that always sings "You're pretty," and whenever we hear that bird, we are reminded so much of Greta's mum.
I even did a little cough like that.
And often it happens, there's a grey thrush will sing, and we've been talking about.
Yeah, or something crucial is happening, like one of my daughters is giving birth, or, you know, and you hear the grey thrush, or it's often in a crisis time. Yeah.
So just if your loved one had something special, just take note when you might notice that.
And trust your intuition.
And trust your intuition.
Because we just shut things down too quickly, so it's also really about slowing everything down, and then also remain curious, right? And just be kind to yourself. Even if you just shut it down, you can just say to yourself or the universe, oh, sorry, I was a bit too hasty. Sorry, I didn't believe you. Can you show me again? Something like that. So you just keep the conversation open. Anyway. So thank you for tuning in, everyone, and we really all in this together. That's another random thought that I had today, you know, that society is feeling quite divided in many things, but actually the division is not real either. It's just like cracks in the soil, you know, when it hasn't rained for a while, the soil, you see all these deep cracks, and then one side of the soil thinks it's different to the other side of the crack, but it's not true. Because all you need is a little bit of rain, and we all come together again. And our true nature, of course, is that we're all interconnected. We're all in this together. And so just keep being kind and gentle to yourself and with everyone else. Slow down. Slowing down helps. That's like a rain. It helps you to feel more receptive. And the universe is here to help you as well. Thanks for tuning in, everyone.
Thank you.
And
have a good Christmas.
And Pete and I, we will be back live in the new year.
Yep. We're off until the Tuesday, so it'll be the 9th or 10th.
Unless we do some random ones, maybe in between. And what's the time yet? At 8 o'clock tonight, I do a Facebook Live on the Greta Robertson Facebook site as well. So you're welcome to join me for that. And in the meantime, have a really, really wonderful Christmas and much love and appreciation as well.
So safe holiday time.
Yeah. And enjoy yourselves.
Yeah.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.
See you.